star. The stars don't fall out of the sky, do they?
Hello, YouTubians!
Greetings, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Hello.
However, whenever you're watching this, we appreciate you because you already know time is expensive.
Yes, thank you for tuning in.
And thank you for subscribing, bot or not. But if you're here for the first time, this show is about everything and anything creative. Anything that sparks your creativity in whatever medium you dabble in.
Yes, expressing your creative soul.
And welcome to another episode of Creativity Unsheathed. I'm Oliver Sequel.
And I'm Nino.
And yes, we are brothers.
Yes, we are.
And this is the show where we feel
never give up on your dreams. Always follow your passion. And it won't be easy, but in the end, at least you can say you did that.
totes. It may seem crazy to others, but it's your destiny.
Yeah.
You know, what's meant for you is for you only, and you know that's the universe blessing you with a gift.
Yeah, just do your part, and the universe will do the rest.
And why we're talking about this and what we're looking in today is La Bamba.
Hell yeah.
This movie is the epitome of what following your dreams is all about.
Yeah.
You know, for this man here, Richie Valens, or should we say Richard Steven Valenzuela.
Nice.
His dream was to take care of his family, you know, his mom especially, and he was all about his music. And the standard of what Chicano Rock-and-roll was going to be about.
Yeah, that big crossover.
I mean, he definitely paved the way for artists like Carlos Santana.
Yeah,
you
man.
know, who also did musical score for this film.
Yeah, from the soundtrack, dude.
Right.
Sure.
And why else we're looking into this film? Because this film introduces a Filipino actor, Lou Diamond Phillips.
Lou Diamond, yeah, man.
Right? This movie definitely skyrocketed Lou Diamond Phillips' career, and
Mind you, he did Broadway, you know what I mean? Theater work.
he definitely has the acting chops, if you will.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure. He knows how to bring the character to life, if you will.
Right? And he knows how to sing.
Yeah.
Right? He knows how to sing and actually play the guitar, so definitely that triple threat, if you will.
The total package.
Right?
And like one of the early biopic in movies, you know, that was really successful.
Totes.
Straight icon.
It got preserved through the Criterion Collection, highlighted as a milestone film.
Yeah,
You know?
rightfully so.
Definitely the etching in time of music, rock and roll, and
Totally, like the era and peak of rock and roll.
right, and Richie Valens, again, the pioneer of not just Chicano rock and roll, but rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can you imagine? 3 decades earlier, you get Robert Johnson,
totes, dude.
that rock and roll.
Man,
And like Richie was part of that to what rock and roll is today.
totes, dude.
So that's really big.
Also, shout out Los Lobos.
Yeah.
You know, during the time of this film, talk about stars aligning. You know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of that whole full circle moment. You know what I mean?
It was like meant to be.
Yeah.
And it did Richie justice and bringing him to life. His story at that.
Shout out Luis Valdez, the writer and director of this film. Without him and his vision, including Danielle Valdez co-producing this movie La Bamba, it was like a dream come true for them. And Luis definitely did his homework in terms of, you know, interviewing the right people and getting the right information to make this movie happen.
Yeah.
You know?
You want to get real facts, right? To make
Yeah.
a really good movie. That's why it's so great.
And Luis Valdez himself being a well-known forefather of the Chicano movement and for his well-known notable work of Zoot Suit.
No, nice.
Right, just off the history of the Zoot Suit wars during World War II.
Cool suits.
Definitely.
As if like the Zoot suits were like equivalent to the Barong Tagalog.
Totes. I mean,
They had reason for the fashion.
Yeah.
Not just wearing it. There's a
Right.
reason for it.
when it came down to cultures integrating,
Yeah.
you know, like they had something that represented who they are.
And who they stand with.
Totes.
Yeah.
Definitely shout out Luis Valdez, you know, for making this movie happen.
Man, thank you.
Without him, we wouldn't get La Bamba.
And we wouldn't get Lou Diamond Phillips. No,
real,
no,
man.
No Valdez, no Phillips. Man,
For real.
no Young Guns. No Valdez, no Young Guns.
So Luis Valdez, hey man, we salute you.
Thank you.
We're about to dive into this biopic. If y'all haven't seen it, you watch it how you get it, stream it, or if you have the actual DVD or VHS, by all means, pop it in, watch it, and then come back and listen to our takes, because we're about to spoil everything in this movie.
Yes.
And including some of the facts and our takes on Mr. Richie Valens here.
Yes, sir.
So continue watching this episode. So this biopic opens up with a young Richie Valens waking up from a recurring nightmare that he has about two airplanes having a mid-air collision right above his school, which crushed to death one of his best friends. And why he keeps having this dream? Who knows? For Luis Valdez, maybe he wrote it in this film as a premonition or just an overall metaphor of just what symbolizes Richie Valens and the tragedy, you know. But this story continues. His mom, Connie, played by Rosanna de Soto, wakes him up, you know, telling him to get ready for the workday. And we see him as a farmhand on this apricot farm, not realizing that his brother Bob is on the way. Bob just got released from jail, and now he went to go find his family, which he located on this farm. And first he surprises Richie. You know, they have their brother moment. They hug it out.
Glad to see each other.
Right. Here's Connie being the life of the party, it seems. You know, she's telling the story in front of the girls, especially Rosie.
Rosie, yeah.
Who was Richie's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And of course, rest in peace, Elizabeth Maria Pena, passed away October 14th, 2014. I only know her from Rush Hour 1. Comment below your favorite films of hers, but it was definitely awesome that she was in this iconic film, and her work forever lives on.
On an iconic movie at that. So she's immortalized.
Yep. Elizabeth Pena, we salute you. Rest in peace.
Thank you. Rest in peace.
But this story continues. Connie gets a surprise. She hears rumbling in the distance and not realizing it's a motorcycle. How often do they have that on the farm? But that noise catches their attention.
Yeah.
Finally realizing it's Richie with sunglasses with Bob right behind him. Just overall surprised to see her mijo.
A little family reunion.
Right? They hug it out. They have their mother-son moment. But however, Bob sees Rosie, you know, eyeing her.
With a little lust in his eyes.
Right? Rosie having that same sort of interest, it seems.
For sure.
And you see her looking at Richie and Bob, you know, in ways of comparison. Richie is introducing Rosie to Bob, and, you know, again, Bob having that lustful eye. But the brother moment continues. It's a pretty cool shot. You get the Southside School. See Bob and Richie having their brother moment, racing up the hill.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is the school that Richie went to for this brother moment. Just see them racing up the hill, seeing who's the fastest. They end up falling. Richie's obsessing over his guitar.
Overprotective.
Right? He said, "Are you nuts? I even sleep with it."
Nice.
That guitar is his pride and joy.
Yeah.
Pretty funny moment for the brothers. You know, they're boxing it out.
Slap boxing. Yeah.
Right. And then they accidentally hurt each other.
They collided knuckles.
Right. You have Richie asking if he's okay, then Bob pretending it hurts, but then he slowly shows him the middle finger.
Yeah.
He gave Richie the bird.
Yeah, you're a big sucker for 16.
Story continues. You see Bob talking to Connie, trying to persuade her to leave the farm and, you know, to aim for a better life. However, that's why Connie are there in the first place. You know, she's saving up money for that better life.
Yeah.
But you don't know how long that goal was going to be achieved by Connie.
Yeah. It was a real grind.
All right. But then here is Bob. You know, he pulls out a big wad of cash and, you know, shows her, like, let's just get at it now.
Yeah.
You know, but she doesn't know where that money came from.
She wants honest money.
Right. But for him, he says he has been working.
Yeah.
You know, ever since he got out of jail, you don't know what kind of jobs he got, but
Yeah.
it looks like he saved up himself. Right. And here's Richie coming back from his shower, you know, asking what's going on. Bob just says straight out, "We're leaving this shithole tomorrow."
Yeah.
And Connie says, okay, all right,
mijo.
we'll do that.
She actually believed him.
That this is going to be a brand new change.
Yeah.
You know, definitely a new chapter for them as a family.
For sure.
Later that night, the farmers have a little campfire gathering where Richie is the entertainment, you know, just enjoying the night sky. And however, you see Connie looking around in worry in terms of where is Rosie and Bob.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not good, knowing that Rosie is Richie's girlfriend. But
Connie had a feeling and instinct.
claro, right? That mother instinct, if you will.
Yeah.
But you guys have to watch that for yourselves.
Claro. Parental advice suggested.
Later that night, you have Richie looking for Rosie, but in the distance, he hears Bob's motorcycle, and he sees Bob dropping off Rosie, and, you know, them sharing a kiss.
Yeah.
Richie's heartbroken, you know, you see him balling up, just about to cry.
Yeah.
Bob catches up with him, and he said, "Hey, Richie!"
As if nothing happened.
Right? And then Richie turns to him in tears. And he says, I should ask you. And then right away, that brother instinct for Bob, he says, hey man,
Did I warn him on something?
right? But for Richie, he says, just forget it. You didn't change.
And then Bob knew. He felt that. If Richie knew that's how he is, it's a gift given, right? You haven't changed. So Richie already knew how Bob was.
Bob made another bad decision.
Yeah. Back to La Bamba.
It's the next day.
They're all packed up and ready to go.
Right? Connie and the family are fully committed of leaving that farm and just aiming for a better life. And it's a sad goodbyes for everybody, the bond that they built on that farm. But for Connie and the Venezuela family, it's a new beginning.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. A new scene, if you will.
Right? Here's a moment between Rosie and Richie, but for Richie, he doesn't want to hear it, you know?
Cold shoulder. Like, she knew, he knew.
Exactly.
You know?
And, you know, she already made that decision, so
Yeah.
what else is there to speak on? So Connie gets in the car and they start driving off. But here is Bob.
Right behind him on the motorcycle.
Right. But he stops at Rosie, you know, takes off his glasses, you know, and just gives her that eye signal, you know, like, let's get out of here.
Like, you want to go?
Right? And she's just like, yeah, really?
Like, I want to go. Right? She had that look like, I want to go too.
And which she ended up going, you know. The manager of this farm, you know, he notices what's happening and,
Yeah.
you know, he hollers for her.
I wonder if that's her dad or the manager.
Someone who owns her, maybe.
Yeah, someone who
Right.
owns her.
You can only know from Rosie herself.
Yeah.
But they're rolling right behind Connie and them. Rosa! Story continues. It's 3 months later. We're in Southern California.
San Fernando Valley.
We're in this ranch-style home. The family acting like any ordinary family, you know, just getting ready for the day.
Yeah.
You know, Connie went off of work.
Richie had a real cool room though.
The basement, for sure.
Basement looked like a bomb shelter. Cool. When Connie left for work, she just left the kids on the table. Well, Rosie was coming in anyways, and then Richie came.
Didn't want to leave them unattended, but, you know, it's just good timing.
I think when Rosie came into the kitchen and then saw the dirty dishes, as if like that was a metaphor for the way her life, like living there. It's gonna be real messy and like, I came here for this.
Yeah, she definitely looked disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, like the American dream she wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And here's Richie walking into the kitchen, getting his breakfast. Seemed like he's getting tortilla and putting some butter on that.
Beans and rice. Oh,
Maybe. Something simple and yet filling.
yeah.
You see Rosie having that moment of regret. You know, Bob not being home all the time and
Yeah.
just the lifestyle he lives.
Bob being Bob.
And then she says, well, you're here. You know, you're home every night. That
Yeah.
whole gesture. And then he says, well,
I'm me.
right?
Yeah. And then she stood like silence.
She really made that mistake.
Yeah.
Story continues. We're at San Fernando High School. Class is about to start. Richie is sitting down with his friend Chino, and they both eye what seems to be a new student. However, Richie's really eyeing her, like he has his heartstrings got pulled.
Yeah.
But here's Chino says, "Hey man, don't focus on that, man. Worry about the audition that you're gonna have later on."
Yeah.
And he's talking about the silhouettes.
Silhouettes. Chino's the drummer.
Yeah, Chino's the drummer, and Richie knowing the guitar, that one piece to complete the band, right?
Yeah.
So Chino's making sure that Richie focuses on that audition. However, after that bell rang, you have Richie waiting for Donna outside the classroom. And Richie introducing himself as High Tone.
High tone.
Donna's surprised, bashful it seems. Who's this cute guy waiting for me,
Courting me.
right? They walk down the hall. Richie's walking her to her next class.
Like a few feet away from her next class.
Right. But for him, his class is at gym. And the bell rang, and for him, Donna was worth being late.
Nice.
And Richie really laying down that charisma on her, and Donna just seems really hooked. She has her Prince Charming, if you will.
Yeah, a little flirtatious.
Yeah.
Puppy love.
Right, right.
That's Paul Anka would say. Who needs Beyonce and Jay-Z? You got Don and Richie.
That's the power couple of equivalence of, you know, the era.
Yeah.
Right? However, fun fact, y'all, this is not how Richie and Donna really met. They met at a garage party where Richie was already part of the Silhouettes, and just so happened that Donna was there, but her date bailed and Richie tried to offer a ride home, but that never happened. But then that was during the summer, and then when school started, they got reacquainted, and this scene here resembles that as the movie term, the meet cute, if you will. In all rom-coms, there's the scene called the meet cute. So this is probably that scene, and just for, you know, screenplay's sake,
Yeah.
Louis had to write it in like that. But that was a fun fact, y'all. But story continues. Here's Richie at that audition. He's walking in on the Silhouettes rehearsing, and he's digging the sound, but it has that old school sound.
Yeah.
So after that rehearsal, here's Chino introducing Richie to Rudy and the Silhouettes. But for Rudy, he has this ego in terms of that he's the hot shit. That he is this big time saxophone player, if you will. Just because he's the leader of this band.
Yeah.
And then he just looks at Richie like just an ordinary background band member, if you will. So here's Richie getting ready, about to audition and, just show his chops. But here's Rudy, again, showing that asshole ego, making fun of his amp, saying, hey, what is that? Looked like someone threw it away. But for Richie, he said, well, it's mine now. And, for any real musician, you work with what you have.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you don't need all the flashy equipment.
And for Chino, he kind of liked Richie's sass back, but he approved of it.
Right? It's like as if Chino and the band is fed up with Mr. Rudy Castro's antics, if you will.
For sure.
But here's Richie. He's doing the audition, and Rudy is just blown away. He's really speechless at this point. He doesn't know what to think or what to say about
Mr. Hotshot.
Right? Chino is digging it. He found the right pocket and threw in the drum rhythm. Here's the pianist. He's digging the sound. He's waiting for that pocket to jump in. He finds it and starts playing along, including the bass player. Finds his pocket to jump in, and they're all grooving.
The chemistry is there.
Right? Something that they should have been playing a long time ago. But for Mr. Rudy Castro here, he's trying to jump in with his saxophone, but it seems like there's no room for him no more.
Yeah, he's playing the background now.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's playing one or two notes, just little fillers here and there, but nothing too extravagant, because Richie, he's just tearing it up. Especially when that solo came up, man, he was just really tearing it away, and Rudy was just shocked.
Yeah, he was lost for words.
He stopped playing, but
yeah, mid-blow, he stopped.
He was blown away.
Yeah, he was looking at his hand.
And he was already thinking, how do I compete with that? So later that night, he gets dropped off by Chino, and it seems like it's good news, right? Everyone's good energy, because Chino says, see you tomorrow night. So his audition, he nailed it.
Yeah, he made it.
He got his first gig. Richie Valens is part of the Silhouettes.
Nice.
As he's walking to the house, he's walking by the trailer where Rosie and Bob stay. He hears Rosie crying. However, he spots Bob's bike.
Yeah, he really knows.
Richie walks into a house to a sleeping Connie, wakes her up with some good news. He tells her that he's part of the Silhouettes, and, he nailed his audition. As any proud mother, she's happy, but she asks, who are the Silhouettes?
Who are they? Who are the Silhouettes?
However, some domestic disturbance is happening between Rosie and Bob. Rosie's fed up with Bob's lifestyle. She didn't leave that farm for that current situation that she's living in right now. She's asking Bob, obviously for something better.
Yeah.
But drops the pregnant bomb on Bob. But as for Bob, he heard that bomb before. He just answers, well, it's not my first or my last.
Man, so he was a real swinger.
Man, you can only imagine how many little Bobs are running around the world or somewhere.
For real. A womanizer, you know what I mean?
Totes. Richie overhears the dispute. He wants to go out and help and stop it, but for Connie, she stops him. She says, that's none of our business, and, just let it be. But before anything more worse can happen, Bob leaves on his bike, and, Rosie's left alone furious.
Man, sucks.
Story continues. We see puppy love going down.
Yeah.
Richie is walking Donna home, really getting to know each other at this point.
Yeah.
Richie invites her to the Silhouette's first performance, if you will.
Nice.
Wanting her to be there and, so he can perform for her, if you will. Because Richie thinks that he's going to get a solo shot.
Yeah.
She agrees. She'll be there for the party, and Richie's really excited.
Hell yeah.
Both of them are, and, again, you see that young puppy love looking at each other back and forth as they walk away.
Yeah.
But during this scene, you see her dad pull up in the background, and, you just see him staring at Richie the whole time, curious of what he is.
Yeah.
He
has good eyesight. Like, what is he?
Italian. But, for Donna, she's, looking at her dad like, why does it matter?
Probably saw Frankie Valli. Or Paul Anka.
Right? But you have a feeling now how this dad moves, or how this dad goes down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Story continues. We're at the Silhouette party, it seems, or whoever's hosting this party. Everyone's having a good time. Connie and the girls are there, including Bob. However, there is no Donna.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe good thing that she didn't show up, because, Richie didn't get his shine, and he didn't want to look embarrassed.
And look, it came out better for him.
Right? She came out.
Where he was on the front stage. So.
Right?
totally worked out.
But as the night goes on, it just seems like Mr. Rudy Castro here is hogging up the mic.
Yeah.
You know, he's not letting Richie, you know,
shine,
right?
because he knows.
Mr. Rudy's gonna get outshined.
Yeah, he doesn't want Richie to be that person.
Nope, not at all. Richie looks miserable.
Yeah.
You know, even for Connie and the girls, they're like, "Where's Richie? Like, when's Richie gonna come on?" You know?
When's Richie coming on? Soon, now stop asking.
Whoa, 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 whoa. So here we are, the final song goes down.
Still no Richie.
Still no Richie. Rudy Castro's giving his final standoff. Again, just treating his band members like background players, you know what I mean? Not really acknowledging who they are or whatnot. You know, it's all about Rudy.
I wonder when Richie went back to his car and said, "See you later, Richie." I wonder if that was Rudy. Probably it was Rudy, like mocking him, right? That's why Richie still looked mad. It wasn't. I don't think it was Chino.
No, Chino got him that gig. Why would
Yeah.
Chino get mad at Chino? So yeah, if anything, yeah,
That was probably Rudy's asshole. Like, "All right, Richie, see ya."
Toads mocking him.
Jerk. Yeah, because he knows. Rudy knows.
Right? I mean, as Richie's walking away, it's like he knows who it is.
Yeah.
But the camera doesn't pan there. But at this point, we can all get a sense of who it is.
Yeah.
And then here's Connie, you know, she revs up that car. She's just as mad as Richie.
Yeah.
And she's like
What do you expect, Elvis?
really furious. And, you know, Richie really deserves better.
It's like Connie, his mom, is like his number one agent. His
Number one fan. Yeah.
Manager at that.
Like any parent, always their kid's number one fan.
Hell yeah.
Story continues. It's the next day. We're at school. Richie is at Donna's locker and he's getting an explanation of why Donna didn't make it.
Yeah.
He just got this whole excuse that her dad didn't want her to go or she got caught up with some family stuff.
Yeah.
Again, for Richie, it was a good thing that she didn't go.
Yeah. Claro? Claro.
Again, this is probably that flashback of how they really met.
Yeah.
So you guys can look it up and double check our facts. But Donna has said this herself on how they truly met.
Yeah. It's great.
But this story continues. We're at the Cowboy Palace. You see Connie at the bar, chopping it up with the owner of this spot, Snapple Fact. That's still in business, by the way.
Wow.
Could be wrong. Comment below. Connie's trying to convince him about Richie playing there and giving him that shot that he can really prove to be this rock and roll star.
Yeah.
However, for this owner, he doesn't really know about rock and roll music,
Yeah.
you know, just yet, and he doesn't know how his club goers or his customers are going to take it.
Let alone letting a 16-year-old in the bar.
Yep. Here's another fun fact. Taylor Swift, she performed in the bar at 16.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she had a country accent.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a cool fun fact that she shares with Mr. Richie Valens here.
Nice.
But then here is Richie and Bob. They roll up to the Cowboy Palace. Richie's really nervous because his band's not there and he doesn't know what to perform or
Who's going to be in there?
right and
Yeah.
how the people are going to receive him. And Bob being his backup drummer is not really real insurance for him
Yeah.
because he doesn't know if Bob can really play the drums.
Yeah.
But for Richie, he can't go back now. He has to go with this gig because his
Yeah.
mom set it up.
Yeah.
You know? He doesn't want to disappoint Mama Connie.
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, Bob had good timing and rhythm.
Totes.
Right, he played that basic 3-piece drum set like Ringo,
Basics.
like the White Stripes.
Yep. Hey, Questlove does it too.
Yeah.
He started with the basic.
See, you don't need that whole arena setup.
Nah, that's just extra stuff.
Yeah.
More sound.
Weezer, 3-piece drum set. Beatles.
You know, as for Bob, you know, maybe the music gene is in him.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
The story continues. They walk into that bar. Connie notices him and tells the owner, "Oh, look, they're here." The owner stops the jukebox, grabs everyone's attention in that bar, and gives Richie a warm introduction.
Nice.
And he didn't use his stage name for this performance,
Richie, Ricardo, Valenzuela.
but very little applause.
You heard crickets.
Yeah. Connie was a little discouraged, but Richie hasn't played anything yet.
Yeah.
So here's Richie, says howdy to the crowd, more crickets.
Yeah.
Here's Bob, crushing the cymbal, and that didn't help, but, you know, he's trying to break the ice, if you will.
It felt like a talent show. You know what I mean? It felt like a talent show for Richie.
Totes.
And Bob.
Hey, it was definitely a showcase, because
Yeah.
he was about to play Love of Texas. But for Bob, he's like, Love of Texas? He doesn't know Love of Texas. But for Richie, he says he's going to keep it simple. He just says, follow my lead.
Yeah.
And then as he starts playing, the crowd gets hit with this shockwave of energy, you know, like this rock and roll sound of Love of Texas just really igniting the crowd to dance.
Yeah.
Something that the jukebox didn't do.
Yeah, the jangling of the guitar strings, right? It's like country. He played a country tune.
At that time, the world didn't know or didn't hear yet.
Yeah.
Again, it was something that the jukebox couldn't do.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
There's just something when it comes down to live instruments.
Yeah, I mean, whatever was in the jukebox was probably a lot of violins, you know, like the folk songs.
Something really easy listening to, if you will. But for this type of song, it was different for the ears. Everyone's up, everyone's dancing. The owner loves it. Connie loves it. She's actually enjoying that the crowd loves him more than that Richie's playing so well.
Yeah.
I think she just got more of a kick out of that, and you know, she ends up dancing with the owner and just having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Well received.
A well-received showcase for Mr. Valenzuela.
For sure.
Story continues. It's the next morning. Bob is still in drummer mode. You know, he's drumming on his beer can, if you will. You know, it's like he's looking forward to feature gigs.
Yeah.
Right? But for Richie, you know, he says, maybe you should focus on Rosie instead, man.
Yeah.
You know? But for Bob, he was like, hey, man, like, I don't want that responsibility. You know what I mean? I finally found something I like, and you're trying to take that away.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of gesture I got. I feel like he wanted to be included in whatever Richie's journey was going to be. You know, he wanted to be part of that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And here's Connie calming down that feud, because here she is stepping in and suggesting that she can be Richie's manager and really shed that spotlight on Richie's talent.
Yeah, showcase him and really expose him to the public.
Bob's like looking at Connie like, you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're gonna be the manager.
Even Richie's questioning that too, but if she was able to get him in Cowboy Palace, you only can imagine, right?
Yeah.
And here's Rosie walking into the kitchen, saying hi to everybody, but giving Bob the cold shoulder, still not forgiving him from their last dispute.
Oh, yeah.
And then here's Connie filling in Rosie with the recap of what happened last night, and, you know, just high praising, high tone, if you will.
Yeah.
And Rosie looking really happy for him, but Bob was like looking like chopped liver. You know, if it wasn't for him, you know, being the drummer, you know, the backbone, you don't know how the night would have gone if it was just Richie playing the guitar, you know.
Yeah.
For Bob, again, he feels like chopped liver, and, you know, he just flies that chicken coop.
Yeah, Connie shows him no love. You know what I mean?
Right, like it was as if it was just all Richie.
Yeah, for sure.
As Bob leaves, Connie continues that praise, and she throws out a potential phrase or catchphrase for his upcoming poster promotion, if you will.
Yeah.
Richie Valenzuela and his flying guitar. Richie and Rosie laughed as if like, okay.
They chuckle.
But hey, it had a nice ring to it, you know, for something in 1958. It hasn't been done, hasn't been seen before, and Richie was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
So this story continues. Richie was proven wrong because they got the next venue for the next gig.
Nice.
Which was called the American Legion. I don't know if that was the actual place or what, but it has a stage and everything, and it was definitely something a lot bigger than the Cowboy Palace and any other garage party that the Silhouettes have played in.
Yeah, like an auditorium.
Totes. Right? And here's Richie showing off the venue. But for Rudy Castro, being the leader that he is, he finds this place mediocre.
Yeah.
You know, he feels like he can find something better.
Yep.
But for these band members being in the Silhouettes for how long? They've been tolerating Mr.
Rudy's attitude,
right? And the type of gigs that they get. You know, if all they resort to is garage parties, this venue is next level.
Yeah.
Right?
It's bigger than they ever played.
But for Rudy, if he didn't come up with an idea, he doesn't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
You know, he feels outshined.
Yeah.
And he gives the band an ultimatum: you come with me or else.
Or else what?
And the band members they pick. Or else what?
They pick Richie.
But for Rudy, he gets back in his car and just storms off in anger, and we never see Mr. Rudy Castro again.
Never.
As far as for this movie. But hey, comment below. Where has he gone after?
For real. Where is Rudy Castro now?
Story continues. Connie Valenzuela, she's really following up on her word as being the manager. You know, we see them in the basement with Rosie and the kids, Richie, you know, making flyers to promote the upcoming show. But here's Bob being the artist, if you will. He looks at these flyers and like, these look like shit.
Yeah, man.
And then Connie's like, oh, you can do better.
Right.
The scene cuts to him doing all the flyers. But I gotta say, the penmanship, pretty flawless.
Yeah, good lettering.
With a paint and a brush, y'all.
You said I should have kept my mouth shut.
Hey, the posters, they worked.
Looks nice.
Right? It looks vibrant, catch the attention of whoever walks by it. You know what I'm saying?
Nice fonts.
Totes. But for Bob, he's not going to keep his mouth shut on this event. He's letting his biker boys let it be known. Like, post all of these flyers, whatever light posts, phone posts.
Bars.
You put them on there and you let the people know.
Yeah.
They really want to throw on a good show for the town.
Yep.
You see Connie announcing the upcoming show, really getting the word out there, and this bullhorn really letting the neighborhood know.
Yeah, totally reminded me for like Back to the Future.
How else can you promote such thing?
Right.
Story continues. We're back at the venue. You have Richie getting ready. You know, he's putting on his cardigan.
Nice.
You know, Rosie and Richie are having a moment, just being really proud of him, regardless of her choices.
For sure. You notice that he's glowing and that he has a significant other now. And Rosie's okay with that.
Or is she?
Right. Ding, ding.
And here's Connie and Richie having their mother-son moment. You know, just really giving those encouraging words, if you will. Here's Richie giving Connie his promise of getting her a home and really provide for the family.
Yeah, better living.
And for Connie, she believes him. She feels that genuine sincerity out of Richie, and she knows it's going to happen.
Yeah.
A mother sees all, I guess. Story continues. It's a packed house. Donna is there with her friends. You know, she's there with Rosie, and
That's cool. She got to enjoy the party.
right. And again, good thing that Donna went to this party because she got to enjoy a full-on Richie Valenzuela experience.
Yeah, the balance experience.
Everyone here at this party is really digging that sound. Connie and Theo Leo are handling the snack bar, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, they are handing out beers, sodas, you know, whatever have you.
We have Cypher walking in. Trinity.
Yeah, y'all, we have Bob Keane
Nice.
walking into the scene, and he's played by Joe Pantoliano. You may know him from all your favorites, from The Goonies to The Matrix. You know who he is, but he's in this film.
Nice.
He plays Bob Keane, and he strolls into this event, peeping out his potential talent.
Yeah.
He's admiring the amount of people that's in the audience, and they're dancing to his music, and Bob Keane may have something stirring up in his mind.
You know, what Richie did then, as far as the scene, is what indies are doing today. Getting the show, making a name for themselves, getting the followers.
Totes.
And then the labels come to you because you got all these audience.
Totes.
You really bootstrapped it. Straight indie.
That's why he's the pioneer of rock and roll, y'all.
Yeah, man.
Chicano rock-and-roll.
For real.
But with the digital age today, it's a lot different in terms of throwing on your own show or a virtual concert, if you will.
Yeah. Making your own videos.
Story continues. Everyone's having a good time. Here is Bob rolling into the venue, drunk, along with his biker buddies. Bob is in fascination to see his little brother on stage and just rocking out the house, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, Bob is dancing and interrupting everybody's night, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, getting in the middle of their dance, if you
Ruining the
will.
vibe. Yeah.
Totes. To the point, Connie, you know, she's trying to stop him. You know, trying to tell him, you're too drunk, you need to get out of here.
Yeah,
you
take his
know,
bottle away.
right? Like a little child.
Yeah.
And to the point, he pushed too far. Bob got in the way of a couple. The boyfriend got upset with that, and a brawl breaks out.
For sure.
You know, from a happy-go-lucky concert to a big,
Rumble,
right? Big brawl between whoever's heated in the moment. A brawl was going down. Richie sees that. He stops mid-play. He tells his fill-in saxophonist to take away the solo. You have Richie trying to save his brother.
Nice.
You know, fighting through the crowd, and you know he fights off that guy that Bob was fighting.
Nice.
Gives him one good punch. But for Richie, he had to double check his hand, make sure that his strumming hand didn't break.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, it didn't. But hey, he was just trying to save his brother.
Nice. Now I want to see from Donna and Rosie's perspective, where did they go?
Yeah, like did Bob Keane leave afterwards?
Yeah.
Because I mean, he got a chair thrown in his direction. You know, of course he dodges it at the right time, but
Phased out in time.
tells Trinity to get him out of here.
Trinity, get out of here. I'm out of the Matrix.
Totally worked.
But this brawl fades into an empty auditorium. Connie's giving Bob the third degree, really chewing him out. She was like, how can you do this to Richie?
Yeah.
Bob got fed up. He got up from his chair. I didn't do this to Richie. I did this to me.
Yeah.
And then here's Rosie, you know, coming out with a smart remark saying, oh, there's Bob, always thinking about himself again.
Yeah.
But Bob didn't like that remark and, started yelling at Rosie. But then Richie's protecting Rosie from that. But Bob didn't like Richie getting down on him now. It's like...
felt like everyone's ganging up on him.
Yeah. Bob really got fed up with this. And, he just stormed out of that auditorium. He didn't want any more of that abuse. He just stormed out.
And he said, "You think the world revolved around you, Richie?"
But it's just a misunderstanding that Connie is doing. I feel like that whole favoritism, she didn't realize her toxic parenting, if you will.
It's as if like every time Bob messed up, it's always Bob. But then when he's not drunk and they're both striving, they're all together in on it.
Yeah.
It's like all for one. But then when it's Bob messing up, it's just Bob.
Story continues. You see Richie walking home, and just as before he touches down on the driveway, he hears a honk right behind him, and he notices it's Donna.
Nice.
Donna in a brand new ride that she got a gift from her dad, and she asks, "Do you live here?" But Richie, in embarrassment, says, "Oh, no, I don't. I live a couple of blocks down. I'm just walking." Just really embarrassed in front of his crush on where he lives.
Yeah.
She offers, "Well, let me drive you home." But Richie, instead, he suggests, "Let's just go for a ride." She agrees to that, and she lets Richie drive. I don't know if he has his license yet, but he's driving.
Nice. And like, surprisingly, this whole drive didn't talk about the girl that broke out.
Yeah. Here they are in their drive, talking it up about their relationship and...
talking about her dad.
Totes. But for Richie, he looks beyond those barriers, and he just looks at what the heart wants is what the heart wants.
Yeah, for sure.
Story continues. Bob at his new job, it seems. We see him as a garbage man, and they touch down on the grounds of Columbia Pictures.
Nice.
They end up what seems to be the art department, and they're throwing away the trash of the day, it seems. But for Bob, he may have found his new creative outlet.
Hell yeah.
He finds production stills of Woody Woodpecker and what may be some other cartoons. Bob is admiring the studio, and these cells are really inspiring. But for his partner, man, forget about it. It's basura.
It's kitty stuff.
Right? If they're making money off of it, it's not basura.
Yeah, for sure.
But these are just throwaway mistakes, if you will.
Yeah.
But if you guys know how cartoons worked back in the day, so these are probably just mid throwaways or mistakes, but it's still awesome to have. You know what I mean?
Like, it's still original even though it's not finished.
Right? And this only inspired Bob to go this creative route.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Finders keepers." Story continues. We're back at Richie's house, and here is Bob Keane rolling up to the house looking for Richie. He knocks on the door, and here comes Connie and introducing himself. And here's Richie in the backyard, and he's just here giving a performance for the little kids.
This old man, he played one.
Playing knick-knack paddywhack for the little kids.
Nice.
Because maybe someone's birthday. It might be little Connie here. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Happy birthday, Mia.
Nice.
But he doesn't realize that Bob Keane is right behind him enjoying that free show, and finally get to introduce themselves to each other. And you have Bob talking in Spanish, but Richie says, "I don't speak Spanish."
Yeah.
And for Bob, he's like, "Okay, good, that's easy for me then." But for Connie, she says, "But we speak business."
Nice.
And he went straight at it with an offer that he wants to record Richie's music.
Yeah.
And Richie gave no hesitation and just shook the hand with Mr. Bob Keane there, and
The rest is history.
that history gets continued where we get led to Mr. Bob Keane's studio in his basement, where the sound is condensed,
That's nice acoustics.
right? And he has the professional equipment to record.
Yep.
Richie's surprised of his setup. It may not be everything, but he has enough to make an album. Bob is just reassuring them that everything works and everything's in perfect condition.
Nice.
For Richie, throws out, "But what about my band? I can't perform these songs without my band." But for Bob Keane, he's trying to tell Richie, "Well, I only want you, Richie." And it's like the music industry is equipped with a lot of backup players or...
Band for hire, musician.
Right? And that he understands what friendship means. But for Bob Keane, he knows how the music industry works.
Not everyone gets a shot at the brass ring.
Right? He gives Richie that ultimatum, it's either your music or your friends. But for Richie, he turns back and he chose his family.
Nice.
He said he wants to do this for his family. And from there, that's where they record We Belong Together.
Nice. He presses record. Bob provides the rhythm guitar while Richie plays the lead.
But we also get a montage.
Nice.
We see a montage between Richie and Donna's maybe first dates or maybe one of their multiple rendezvous, if you will.
Nice.
According to Donna, they had to sneak out for their dates regarding to her strict father, that she didn't want him dating a Hispanic man. Like, this probably is in that reference to that. Bob is really enthusiastic about his new drawing career, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, he's really excited and, you know, just found that creative outlet and something more productive.
Yeah, for sure.
He found this ad in some sort of magazine talking about an art contest, and he's looking to enter, and then he's asked Richie, what do you think? At first, Richie thought Bob traced them, but he admits that they're freehand. You know, he was just going off of the references that he had got from the trash.
Yeah, man.
Or, you know, whatever was in there, that was his references. And again, he found his new productive outlet.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he just asked Richie, what do you think? He's like, yeah, man, go for it. You know, go for broke.
Yeah, man.
Continue on the montage. We're at San Fernando High School, and all the students know that Richie and Donna are a theme. You know, the hottest couple on campus.
Nice.
And going back to Bob entering that contest, you know, he got some good news in regards of winning, you know.
Yeah.
And you see him gonna go off, tell Rosie about the good news. Story continues. We're here at a diner. We're on a date between Richie and Donna. You know, he goes in full detail of why he has these reoccurring nightmares.
Yeah.
Goes in detail on how there was a mid-air collision between two airplanes that happened right above his school, and that some of the debris crushed and killed one of his best friends. And luckily enough that he wasn't there because he was attending his grandfather's funeral.
Yeah.
However, just seeing that crash site and seeing his friend there really left an imprint on him, which led to his aviophobia, which is his fear of airplanes, if you guys didn't know what aviophobia is. For Donna, she can only imagine that kind of trauma. She can only console him and just reassure him that he's okay, but for her, she doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah. She doesn't know how to answer that.
No.
I mean, he can just only listen.
Right.
And, like, getting to know more about Richie.
Totes.
You know.
But for this conversation, it gets shifted into something spiritual in terms of a death saved him from a death. He was told that he was saved for a better purpose.
Yeah.
And he asked Donna what that was. And she answered, rock and roll. Richie Valens twirling his french fry, you know. But then he comes out with a deeper answer. But I guess stars don't fall out of the skies, do they? And for Donna, that's another silent moment for her. She didn't know how to answer that, right? Just looks at him and it's like speechless.
Yeah, really sure of himself.
Story continues. We're involved in another domestic dispute, I guess. Bob is trying to tell Rosie about his newfound productive outlet, and he needs a place to set up his drawing table.
Yeah.
But obviously being in that trailer, there is no room for such thing, and especially that Rosie is pregnant, they had to prepare for the baby. And for such creative outlet to come at that time, obviously bad timing,
Yeah.
because the priorities are different.
For sure.
Bob storms out of that trailer and says, you know, you don't respect anything I do.
Yeah.
Rosie says the same thing, and really at this point, there's no middle ground for this couple.
Yeah. Seems like a pretty small trailer, like nowhere to put the table.
But that story continues to a brother moment. Bob talks to Richie, vents to him about his relationship with Rosie. And, you know, to me, this is really awkward. I don't know how does Richie feel in that moment in terms of, like, how is Bob talking to Richie about Richie's ex-girlfriend? You took my girlfriend away from me, you know? It's like, I don't know how Richie can still look at Bob the same way. But I guess Rosie still being part of the family, it's like Richie's not going to turn his back away on Rosie.
Oh, yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Became more of a family friend now
Yeah.
than a lover. Because now he found Donna.
But, you know, for Richie, I guess he doesn't have enough dating experience to give Bob a proper
Advice.
counseling advice, if you will. But
Yeah, for sure.
But here's Connie with some good news. She runs to Richie telling him that he's going to be going to LA and record at Gold Star Studio.
Ooh, Bob King booked some real serious studio time.
Richie's excited. It's another big step towards his goal and towards his dream as a rock star. But for Bob, he feels that his achievement isn't enough anymore.
Yeah.
For Richie, he notices Bob and he tells Connie, like, but Bob has some good news too. Go tell him, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob was like, oh yeah, you know that art contest? I won $500 in art lessons. I don't know what really that entails, but, you know, he won that contest. And, you know, of course, you know, as an artist, that's always a good achievement. But for Richie's achievement, of course, that seems bigger.
For sure. It's like every time Richie does something, like Bob does something good, it's like as if Richie tops it.
For Connie, she grabs them both, hugging them by the neck and saying, this is a good step for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, story continues. We are at Gold Star Studio, and here is Richie performing Come On, Let's Go.
Nice.
One of Richie's greatest hits, if you will, and you get to see the recording process of what makes a great album.
Yeah.
A great song at that, and I don't know how many takes exactly it took for this one song, but for this movie it was 60 takes.
Yeah.
But for the actual song, we can only imagine, and for every performer, it's really draining, you know what I mean, in terms of putting all your energy into one song, one bar,
Yeah.
one phrase of a word, whatever it may be, but just for a 2-minute song.
Man.
Hours of work for a 2-minute song, but that 2-minute song, Come On, Let's Go, it did a lot,
Yeah.
you know, for that time of 1958, and
Chart toppers.
you know, that goes for all music.
Yeah.
You know, like what it takes to make an awesome song, an awesome album, and to make people feel a certain way. It's like the process of it all.
Yeah. Gotta love the process, right?
But for Bob, he was in disbelief of how many more takes Richie had to do, and it's like, again?
Yeah.
Even he too was irritated, but he just drowned it out and fell asleep. But finally, when the song was done, Bob Keane finally got what he needed in terms of the song and Richie's stage name.
Nice.
And the session was over. Bob wakes up from his nap. Richie is tending to his sore throat, if you will. But Bob is, again, trying to explain what the process of making music is all about. You know, that you need layers to make the vocals sound more full.
Yeah.
For that time, they used a lot of reverb, which made it sound a lot echoey than his live performances.
Yeah.
Again, for a live record, for radio play, you gotta make it sound good, I guess.
Yeah. It's all part of it.
Okay, here's Bob telling Richie about his stage name and how he cut his last name Valenzuela short and made it Valens. Instead of going Ricardo, he went with Richie. But for Richie and Bob, they don't like it because that's just chopping up their last name in half. Obviously, they find that disrespectful, but for Bob Keane, he has to do what's right for Richie in order, I guess, names that sell, if you
Yeah,
will.
for
And
sure.
Richie Valens just sounds more of a catchy name, I guess.
Yeah,
You know. Again, for Richie and Bob, they have to warm up to that fact, and they leave the studio.
Yeah.
But but for Bob Keane, he says, "Hey, you could have been Richie's Whaler."
And then Bob looked back like, what?
Story continues. We see that puppy love once again. Richie trying to call Donna, but you see that strict father of hers gave an excuse that she wasn't home, and of course Donna was upset with that fact and that her dad won't let her date Richie.
Yeah. Keeps denying her.
Donna's mom is reassuring Donna how her father is and how he feels about Richie and just that whole situation, but Donna only sees love. Her and Richie don't see racial barriers or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
But story continues. We're here with Bob Keane. He's doing what any music manager does. He's promoting his new talent, showcasing his new song, Come On, Let's Go. And he's trying to convince this radio host to keep Richie's song on the rotation. And I guess for any radio host, you always got to have those hit songs, and you can't just have any artist. So here he is talking to Bob Keane about Richie. And he was like, Richie Valens. He's French, right? And then Bob Keane's like, how did you know? Like, at that point, Bob Keane didn't want to correct him. As long as Richie's song was playing, he can correct him later.
Yeah.
And I guess for this radio host, he likes this song too. And as long as he keeps getting requests for a Richie song, he'll keep it on the rotation. Story continues. As that song is being played, here we are at Connie's work. She hears Richie's song plays, and she tells everybody in the restaurant to hush up and listen to her son play. Life is good.
Yeah.
During this light montage, we see Bob diving into his new productive outlet, grinding away at the drawing table, enhancing his drawing skills, if you will. And at one point, he looks frustrated, and he wanted to give up, stab his table, or stab that paper, or whatever he was working on. He wanted to give up and go back to his party lifestyle, if you will. But metaphorically, you kind of see something in him that forces him to keep going, or don't touch that bottle and just keep going. Story continues. We get another puppy love moment, or a sad puppy love moment. Richie finally goes to Donna's house and tries to talk to her face to face. Her mom answers the door, and he respectfully asked to speak with Donna. And the mom was being respectful back, and she honors that request. But in respects to Donna and her husband, she's trying to please them both. But she's trying to tell Donna to break up with Richie, not to lead him on anymore. And this leads to the breakup between Richie and Donna.
Well, it's sad though. It's like she could date other guys.
As long as it's not a Hispanic man, I guess.
Yeah.
According to her father. But for that moment, he just has to respect it for what it is, and he just walks away, and, you know, he gets inspired by that moment. But story continues. Richie, you see him in the late night working on a new song.
Nice.
What could it be? It has a familiar tune to it. Story continues. That song Richie was working on turns out to be Donna. Richie performing that song at a phone booth and just serenading her through the phone. As that's happening, you see Bob with his biker buddies. But for Bob, he sees his little brother in that phone booth, and he decides to make a detour. And you see Bob creeping up on Richie as he sings Donna, but he interrupts that moment by going, "You!" Really scaring Richie, dropping the phone, dropping his guitar, and again, just ruining that moment. However, Donna's crying. She's in the moment. She finds that song beautiful, and Richie gets off the phone with her. And fun fact, y'all, this really happened according to Donna herself. It was pretty cool of Luis Valdez to write that in there.
Nice.
However, for Bob being the older brother, he finds that his little brother needs to get some tail. He needs to get some action in his life, and he needs to stop dwelling on this puppy love. He tells Richie to hop on the bike, and they head over to Tijuana.
TJ.
Really acting like tourists, taking pictures, and, you know, walking the strip of Tijuana.
It's probably like their little version of Vegas.
Yeah, maybe. Later on that night, they stumble upon what seems to be a brothel. You see all the prostitutes working there, and Bob is trying to have Richie pick one.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Choose.
right? All these women are interested in you, Richie, so just pick one.
Yeah.
It's
You
okay,
like
Richie.
them, they'll like you.
But for Richie, he feels like he's at a prom. Just the way the whole aesthetic and vibe of this brothel. He doesn't feel mystified, if you will.
Yeah. Let alone the dresses they're wearing. Look like prom dresses.
Right. However, something else sparks his interest when the band starts playing La Bamba. Richie recognizes that tune, and he gets excited more than ever. More than all the beautiful women combined.
Yeah.
You know, he finds that folk song,
Mesmerizing.
right? And shout out to Los Lobos, y'all.
And they are the mariachi playing the
Yeah.
song La Bamba in this scene.
Yep. They're the ones singing all of Richie's songs. When you think it's Lou Diamond, sadly it's not. But shout out Los Lobos.
Nice.
And so here's Richie in front of the stage. He's trying to figure out the sound and or how to play it. You know, he didn't want to interrupt them and ask them for the chords or whatnot. So he plays by ear, listening to the melody, and, you know, he finds that pocket, just plays along with the band.
Nice. Finds the notes.
And here's another fun fact. Richie Valens is self-taught, taught himself how to play the guitar right-handed, knowing that he was a lefty.
Nice.
Very much like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Sure.
But as Richie and Bob are in Tijuana, they don't realize what's happening back at home.
Yeah.
You know, Bob's responsibilities as a father neglected the fact that Rosie was pregnant and that her water broke, and
She's in labor.
right, and the baby can come at any moment.
And it's raining.
Right.
Storming.
But for Richie and Bob, they're all the way in Tijuana, and
Yeah.
they have no clue. Story continues. It's the morning in Tijuana, and Richie gets woken up by a dog, and he's shocked by the fluffy companion. And Richie's trying to figure out where he is, but he sees taxidermied animals, if you will,
Yeah.
and what could be a precursor to a movie of Lou Diamond Phillips, Bats.
Yeah. That was a good one.
That's a good movie and maybe a future episode.
Ooh.
But Richie wakes up and he's trying to make some sense of where he is, and he's wondering how he got his logo on his arm.
Yeah.
Bob is nowhere to be found, and Richie's just really confused. He doesn't remember.
Yeah. When did I get this tattoo?
What did he do after La Bamba?
Where did he go? Did I buy this in a vending machine? 25 cents.
As Richie's outside, he's trying to find civilian life, but then he gets greeted by a dog who alarms his papa, so-called,
A spiritual figure.
right? He speaks to Richie in Spanish. However, Richie doesn't know any Spanish. He laughs at that. I guess that's funny.
Yeah. And right on time comes Bob.
And here's Bob returning from wherever he came from, but leaving Richie alone like that.
He really trusted that old man.
Whatever the relations between these two gentlemen, Bob really trusts him.
Yeah.
To the point, this medicine man tells him to come back inside and have a spiritual conversation, if you will.
Yeah. We'll show you how to skin a snake.
So they head back inside and they're seeing the medicine man prepare snake, if you will, but Richie never had snake before, but he'll eat it anyways.
Yeah. It's like the medicine man giving them a show.
Maybe. And then here's the medicine man talking to Richie, but Bob is there translating for him. And Bob told the medicine man about his reoccurring nightmares. This medicine man provides Richie with this talisman, and this such talisman will provide Richie with protection from any spiritual attacks, if you will, whatever may come his way. Story continues. The boys head back from Tijuana, and you see Connie just scolding them both. But scolding Bob more so than Richie, because Bob being the older brother and Bob being Bob.
Yeah, and Connie thinks he's a bad influence.
For taking Richie all the way to Tijuana.
Yeah.
And that's really irresponsible, knowing that Rosie was in labor. Connie had to take care of her and just be that provider throughout that whole experience and situation. But for Bob, he doesn't like that responsibility. He can't handle it and just storms out of that trailer and off he goes, God knows where.
On his bike.
Right? But for Richie, being the gallant one, was curious about Rosie's baby and the health and status of it. And Connie lets him know that they had a baby girl named Brenda.
We named her Brenda.
A new addition to the family, if you will.
Yeah.
Story continues. We're back at Gold Star Studio. Richie is recording Donna.
Nice.
He's performing his next hit, and here he is with Bob Keane. You know, they're talking about their next tour dates and all the creative decisions that's going to go down for those shows.
Yeah.
Here's Richie really pushing Bob Keane to showcase La Bamba.
Nice. In his version.
Right. But for Bob, he doesn't want to disrespect the Hispanic community or essence of it being a folk song.
Yeah.
He feels like it's not going to sell, you know, in the standards of the American airwaves. But for Richie, he feels otherwise. You know, in his style, it's going to sound awesome. And Bob just has to believe in him. And Richie even throws out that example. If Nat King Cole can sing a song in Spanish, so can Richie.
Wow.
Bob couldn't deny that. He was speechless and he let it be.
Yeah.
Right? Richie's going to perform La Bamba.
Hell yeah.
Come on, Bobo.
Bobo.
Gives him that wink of confirmation, like, come on, Bob.
Yeah, I can make it work.
Story continues. Here we are at the Venezuela house. They're having a family get-together, if you will, and just all having a good time. And here they are, two family members recording the moment. And cool honorable mention, in this scene here, you actually get to see Richie's real mom.
Hell yeah.
Concepcion Valenzuela. Rest in peace.
You know, in the side view of Blue Diamond, like you really see Richie.
And if you just look at Concepcion's face, she just looks like an admiration, you know, just admiring Lou Diamond Phillips' face.
Yeah, she's a spirit, yeah.
Again, rest in peace to Concepcion Valenzuela. She passed away in October after this movie was released. Honestly feel like she got that closure.
Definitely, she can rest now.
Right, she got that closure from Richie, and she got buried right next to him.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So it's definitely a cool honorable mention for this scene, and just to see her.
It's like it was her story as well.
Right.
Like a story of mother and son.
Totes. If you guys didn't know that was her, now you know. And another honorable mention in this family party scene, you get a shout out to Daniel Valdez, Luis Valdez's younger brother, who plays Uncle Lelo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's playing the guitar.
He's barring the chords.
Yeah.
And then while Richie's is drumming.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then Lilo is singing a folk song.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. As if like he was really Richie and like the universe that went into the Valdez brothers to like make this film.
Totes.
Like make this for Richie.
So yeah, another honorable mention in this scene. Two honorable mentions, if you guys didn't know.
Nice.
But story continues. We're in Richie's new car. A Thunderbird, if you will.
Man.
Bob surprises Richie with this new ride. And as a manager, he's trying to break that ice to Richie about his future tour dates, especially for an upcoming show on American Bandstand.
Yeah.
And knowing Richie's aviophobia, they have to fly out for that one.
That's one hell of a drive. Dude, driving cross country, that's hella far.
Yeah.
So he had to fly.
Yeah, just for that show. And if Richie was really about his music and really want to be a rock star, he has to do that in order to make his dream come true.
For sure. Sacrifices.
He agrees to that and, enjoys his new ride and starts speeding down that road. And Bob was like, hey man, I thought you don't like to fly. And then Richie was like, I don't, but I love driving fast.
Hell yeah. And the Thunderbird. Nice car.
Alright. And fast forward to them actually being on that plane. Richie was really excited at one point. He got to see the Grand Canyon and, just got to see a whole different view from up there.
Yeah, man.
but once that turbulent hit or whatnot,
Sobered up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But here's Bob Keane providing vodka to a 16-year-old at that, just to calm those nerves. Richie didn't chug or anything, took a small sip.
Yeah.
And when he realized what it was, he calmed down real quick.
Yeah. Thought it was water at first.
Right.
Got you vodka.
But luckily enough, they touched down in Philadelphia, and Richie was able to do that show on American Bandstand.
Unscathed.
Everyone tuned in on that day, and they watched Richie play.
Yeah.
Concepcion and the girls, they watched,
Their brother on TV.
right, admiring the moment.
Yeah.
Even Donna, she was admiring it.
Can't believe it.
Can't
right?
believe that Richie is singing her song,
Her song. Her name is an American Bandstand.
Right? However, real fun fact, y'all, she did not hear this song on American Bandstand. She actually heard it on the radio in the car with her girlfriends heading somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's when they heard it. Comment below if we're wrong, but Donna said it herself in an interview. The real Donna Ludwig, y'all. Comment below.
Or ask your grandparents if they heard the song on the radio. Oh, man.
If they're still alive.
For real. Dude, or your aunties.
But for Bob, as a loving brother, he has mixed feelings. He doesn't know if to feel jealous or to feel proud,
Yeah.
But the alcohol is not helping, at this point. Being at that bar, demanding for more shots. But, of course, the bartender is mad at that, the way Bob is going about his request.
Yeah.
Slamming the shot glasses,
Being rude.
throwing money.
Yeah.
The bartender didn't like that, so he turned off the television. Bob was furious. He was like, that dude's my brother. What are you doing, man? Turn it back on.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah? And I'm your uncle.
Yeah. He probably just thought he was drunk.
Right? It stays off.
Yeah, if the bartender thought, that's not your brother. Like, hey, I totally get that part too. A drunk guy saying, oh, that dude on TV is my brother. Like, nobody's gonna believe you. You're
Right.
fucking drunk.
Who believes a wino?
Yeah, and then I think that really, tipped it off for him.
To the point, he went back to the basement where his studio is.
Yeah.
He was admiring his drawings, but again, he feels belittled. He looked at his drawings like they're nothing compared to what Richie's doing.
Right.
Richie ended up on TV, and Huck and Bob's drawings topped that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you see him tearing down all his drawings in frustration with himself and just that moment, that turmoil of the demon in a bottle, y'all.
He had, the real feeling of worthlessness.
Totally feel for Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Even though this is a Richie story, it's a Valenzuela movie.
Yeah, a family movie.
But for Bob himself, he stated that this movie lightened up on his character. He stated himself that he was worse.
So wild.
Yeah.
Made him look good. This is nice compared to the real Bob.
Right?
Yeah.
But hey, according to the family, comment below if we're wrong,
Yeah.
but that's what they said. Story continues. We are here at San Fernando High School. Donna and her friend Susan are walking to the next class, if you will, and here's Richie surprising her in his new Thunderbird and the knight in shining armor, if you will.
Nice.
Really looking charismatic. Donna is surprised that he's there and figured that he would be off, on tour or something.
Yeah.
But no, he's there to surprise her and pick her up, go off and have their time together.
Yeah, now it's reverse, picking her up.
Here's all the students looking for an autograph, and he's like, yeah, sure, Donna can autograph too. And she's like, wait, what? I'm not famous.
And that's cool for Connie, Richie's mom, to let him fulfill his career and let him drop out of high school.
Because at this point, he did drop out, and his music was taking off, and
Yeah.
he had to put all his focus in his music at this point.
Yeah.
So the two lovebirds end up having their drive, catching up on lost time, if you will.
Yeah.
He even asks Donna how's school, and she tells him it's not the same since he's not there.
Donna tells him that she's proud of him.
Definitely showing that encouragement and that support. Yeah.
And didn't hold it against him,
Right. Story continues. That success gets carried over to Richie actually fulfilling one of his goals. And that goal was to buy his mom, Concepcion, a house. I don't know if it's her dream home, but it's a home for the family. And again, just fulfilling that promise that Richie made.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely see all the excitement, not just for Connie, but, for Richie's sisters. They feel like it's a castle. But with Bob being there, again, he feels belittled. He feels like although he didn't have a hand in Richie's success, he didn't provide the best, knowing that he was the older brother. And
He tried, but then just like what Richie is doing, just trumps it.
Right.
Just make it feel like it's nothing. Like, you totally feel Bob.
yeah,
How do I match this? Like, you tried to with the art, but you probably just gave up too fast or just didn't see it was worth it. compared to Richie, you know?
I guess Richie's light was just too bright for Bob, and the demon in the bottle is not helping.
Yeah, for sure. I feel it. Comes down to perspective, you know? Like, if Bob had a better perspective, he could have been with Richie.
But story continues. We're in New York, Brooklyn, if you will. We're here at the Alan Freed's first anniversary rock and roll show. Richie is showcasing that show with Eddie Cochran and Jackie Wilson, being gathered and just promoting what rock and roll is.
Yeah.
And Alan Freed was one of the few to showcase such music as rock and roll.
Yeah.
Not to discriminate against like Richie or anything, you know. It's like he was able to have minorities on the marquee, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it's pretty big for 58 during the era of segregation. It's like the power of music.
And integrated people instead, for sure.
And for this particular event to showcase Richie and for the song that he's gonna perform, you know, it was definitely big for that era.
It's like his stars align.
But before Richie could perform, he had to wait and let Eddie Cochran and Jackie Wilson perform, which were awesome songs.
Hell yeah.
You know, for those times, they're still timeless today. Still works.
Yeah.
After Eddie's performance, you have Richie here in the backstage, you know, just really hyping up Eddie. But Richie's being nervous about his performance. You know, how is he gonna top that?
Yeah.
As an artist, you're expressing yourself. That's real vulnerable state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for this Mexican kid from San Fernando Valley trying to be accepted in a white-dominated industry at that, and for him to about to perform such song, you don't know how they're going to react.
Yeah.
But for Eddie, he just says, like, don't worry about it, man. Just go out there and do your music. As they're backstage, you have Jackie Wilson tearing it up. Everyone loves his music. And then Richie gets that call that he has to get ready on stage. Jackie Wilson is just about to be done, so Richie gets ready.
Oh, man.
A big stage in the big city of New York, a whole different crowd, and you're about to do a rock and roll version of a folk song. It's going to be big.
Yeah.
Here's Richie standing amongst the crowd, tells them that this is a little bit of a rattlesnake.
Nice.
And once he starts that riff,
nice. The crowd goes wild.
For people to get wild for a Spanish song, it's a precursor for the future music that he was going to set. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if the version that Los Lobos played earlier in the movie was the real version.
Oh, yeah.
And then Richie just mixed it up, remixed.
Totes the meat of the chords and found it on the guitar.
Yeah, just rocked it, like really strumming it instead of like picking it.
But man, a real etching in time.
For sure.
It's music.
Yeah.
You know, it fills the soul. You know, if you guys know about that, comment below. But for people to deny that fact, or it's just entertainment, like, nah, man, music, it heals you.
Yeah, and I feel like no matter what race you are in this world, I think everyone's seen La Bamba. Whether you're Korean, Vietnamese, whatever, Indian, Chinese, whatever. I think they've all seen this movie.
This has to be an inspiration some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, man.
Story continues. It's Christmas time, y'all. Happy holidays.
Nice.
We're back at the Valenzuela house, and Richie gets surprised by the family. A welcome home present, if you will. Richie's happy to see family for I don't know how long he's been away, but he's with family again. Everyone's greeting him, everyone's happy.
Bob brings presents for the kids, for the guy.
Concepcion is happy. I don't know if you want to say over-bragging, you know, over-hyping that Richie's home, but Bob is, again, feeling undermined. Richie's shine is too bright.
Yeah.
You know? He feels like that knight in shining armor walks in and just providing for the family, you know? But for Richie, he doesn't see it that way. You know, he just finds it as a family reunion, you know? It's the holidays, it's family time. It's not about work or anything. It's just about love and, you know, just catching up on times. Here's Richie asking if Bob fulfilled that task of getting the jacket for their mom.
Yeah.
But Bob didn't do it, and he just gave this attitude to Richie and saying that you're the asshole with all the money. Why don't you go get your damn self? Bob letting his jealousy really be known in front of the family.
Yeah.
Everyone's not pretending they didn't hear that. Everyone's quiet.
Yeah.
You know, you can hear a pin drop in that room.
Yeah.
Bob walks away and grabs a beer. But then here is Tio Lelo tells Richie, hey, don't worry about it. He's been off the wagon for weeks.
Yeah.
And that really shows that Bob trying to get clean doesn't matter no more.
Yeah.
Richie's home. And, you know, you do see Bob drinking, but he's not excessively drinking as he used to do. He says the beer tastes like piss.
Yeah.
Just really seeing that change in Bob, I guess.
Yeah.
But for Bob, it's more about venting at this point. You know what I mean? What he has going on emotionally and what's on his mind. And that's where Richie finds him in the guest house. They have their brother moment, you know, or they tried to. But I feel like for this scene, Richie should have just listened
Yeah.
more instead of walking away.
Yeah, I felt like Bob wasn't really drunk. He was just mad.
Yeah.
He was just mad now.
He was really venting, and I feel like if he didn't walk away or hit him and avoided that fight, I think metaphorically when Bob snatched off the talisman, you know, off of Richie as a bad omen, which caused the plane to crash, you know, and Richie dying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, could be, yeah.
Coming from the medicine man, if that was even real, it might add it to the story,
Yeah.
you know? Something spiritual had to go down,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not much of a conspiracy, but more spiritual.
For sure. I feel so, too.
Comment below, supernatural exists, don't act like it don't.
Right, because when he snatched it off or when it came off, it's like they paused at that scene of him looking at it. They could have just snatched it off and just kept fighting, right? But that moment really meant something in a spiritual sense.
I mean, comment below if you guys know about bad omens and all that, but I feel like this moment was that.
Yeah.
And Bob said it himself that he wasn't the perfect brother. He said it in a statement that it's not easy for an older brother to look up to a younger brother. And his character and ego, it's like, of course, didn't like that.
Yeah.
So, explains the jealousy, right?
Yeah.
And supernaturally, like, I don't know if the devil came into play, but
Yeah.
it's definitely an event that I wish never happened in, like, rock and roll history.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
But story continues to a happier moment. Here we are with the lovebirds once again. They're having their moment.
Talk about his future plans, right?
Those plans, them being married, you know,
Having kids.
right? Then again, you only imagine the future if he were to stay alive. you know?
Yeah. Probably not in real life, but in this movie. This is probably like the last time they saw each other.
I do wonder that as well. Like, when was the last interaction between them two?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, was this written for story's sake, or did Donna really see him one last time before going off?
Oh, man.
You know?
Yeah.
However, this story does continue. We're here at Clear Lake, Iowa, y'all, where the winter party dance tour is going down, starring Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper. Buddy Holly is performing. The crowd loves him as usual.
Nice.
For Buddy Holly's performance, definitely his sound was really different. You didn't hear those kind of solos.
That Fender that he's holding, the Stratocaster, just released, and he was the first player ever to hold it, to showcase it on American television.
Let alone this tour, yeah?
This tour. So he was the first one to ever play that Fender Stratocaster. He made it famous.
Fun fact, y'all. If you guys didn't know that, comment below.
Yeah, and that's based off the Fender Stratocaster documentary.
Look it up, yo.
Yeah.
If you guys played a Fender or never heard about the Stratocaster, look up that documentary. Story continues. Richie's backstage, down with the flu.
Yeah.
According to stories, during this time, a lot of people were getting sick just to the crucial weather, and the bus that they were touring on was unheated. So again, you can only imagine the conditions people were getting into.
Yeah, man.
Right? If Richie was getting sick,
You should have just stayed at the venue, man.
that's what this conversation was about, you know. Richie was talking to Bob. You know, Bob was trying to convince him to stop the tour, just come back home. But for Richie being hard-headed, he just told Bob to see what he can do about the bus or finding some other ways of transportation. But he wants to continue on the tour. So he gets off the phone with Bob, but then here's the Big Bopper right behind him. Hello, baby.
Oh, man.
Breaks down the news to Richie about a charter plane that Buddy was able to put together, and that him and Richie can be on that plane. But even the Big Bopper knows, like, I already know how you feel about those planes, Richie.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be freezing in that cold either.
Yeah.
So it was like a real ultimatum. You know, Richie overcame his fear already, but to suffer any further consequences with that flu, you can only imagine.
Yeah.
You know, can't have the cake or eat it too, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Richie thinks about it.
As if like him thinking about it, like he had to make his final calls. What if he called Donna after Bob, or if they even wrote that, or who knows, maybe that was from Bob's story. Talked to him one last time.
And here is Richie. Out of all people he wants to talk to, he calls his older brother Bob. Bob himself is surprised that Richie calls him, but water's under the bridge in terms of their fight. Richie tells him, I really need family around me. Meet me up in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, that's my next stop. Let's hang out. That's what brothers do. And again, for Bob saying, like, you still want me around after all of that?
Yeah.
It's like, again, like, we're still brothers, right? You know, Bob agrees, like, all right, man, I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
I'll see you later, alligator.
See you in Chicago.
That was the end of that call, right?
Yeah.
Back to the Omen. In this scene here, he's holding that talisman.
Yeah.
Dangling it, playing with it with Brenda. Like, could that mean something? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, playing with death.
Yeah, it's like you're sprinkling the energy over your daughter. Or whatever energy's in that talisman.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was, the energy in the talisman. Kept all his fears, protected him, but then when he snatched it off, everything just came back. All his fears, all his worries came true. Now it just haunted him.
And all that negative energy.
Yeah, but he got sick after that.
Demons, y'all. Are we being superstitious? I don't know. Comment below. What do you guys think?
Oh man, not even. It's crazy.
But this movie continues. We're here at Clear Lake Charter Services. We have the rock stars conversing on who gets on the plane because there's only one more spot left and it had to come down to a coin toss. The coin toss came down between Richie and one of Buddy Holly's bandmates. And sadly enough, that coin toss ended up being the only coin toss that Richie has ever won in his life. At being only 17 years old.
Yeah.
You can only imagine the other coin tosses he was going to get. But man.
If the wind wasn't blowing, by the way, if the buses was like that as well, you probably would have caught pneumonia. Probably would have passed away on the bus. On top of having the flu already, I think he would have passed either way.
The shoulda, woulda, couldas, the what ifs, but the supernatural was too powerful, I guess, you know? It's like fate or the universe just seen otherwise. I don't know. The dice rolled, you know what I'm saying?
Like the universe controlled the coin flip, whatever it is.
Whatever that was at that moment, it happened. And Richie goes into that plane. Buddy Holly knows that he's worried about airplanes and all that.
Yeah.
He knows his fears and all that, but Buddy reassures him, like, hey man,
It's
don't
cool.
worry. It's cool. The stars belong to the skies, right?
Yeah. Just the words alone.
And Richie, all he can do is just smile.
Yeah.
Right? He's probably going delirious with that flu, but all he can do is smile. The plane takes off into the stormy night.
That's all she wrote. 100 yards away from that takeoff, crash. 100 plus miles an hour and cartwheeled. Shit. Like, why couldn't you just stay inside the airplane hangar? Like, you guys can just stay in the airplane, stay in the hangar where it's warm at least. Just turn off the airplane and just stay in the airplane. If there's heating in there, right?
And just wait for it to...
The next day.
Alright, or wait for conditions to clear up. But again, the universe played its part. But this biopic continues. Concepcion is doing regular house chores, if you will, you know, doing the laundry, you know, continue on the day like ordinary. Even back at Bob's place, he's working on the packer and, you know, listening to the radio. All of a sudden, they hear a breaking news. They hear about a terrible plane crash that occurred in Clear Lake, Iowa. Richie's name gets dropped.
Second on that list.
Bob drops everything, drops his tools, and he's shocked at what he just heard. Here is Rosie coming out with Brenda. Brenda's already crying as if she already knows.
Yeah.
But Rosie was like, did you hear? Bob, like, did they say Richie? She's like, oh my God, Connie.
Man.
From there, Bob just ran to Concepcion's house. In a drop of a heartbeat, he rushed over there.
Yeah.
Back at San Fernando High School, all the students are in tears. They're saddened by the news themselves. Donna seems like she just got to school and she doesn't know what's going on until Susan here breaks down the news.
Man.
Sits her down and just breaks down the terrible news about Richie. And then all Donna can do is just cry.
Yeah.
And just be lost for words again.
Man.
Bob Keane, his manager, can't understand what he just heard on the radio.
Yeah, man. Couldn't believe it.
Bob finally reaches Concepcion's house and she's just stone dead,
Can't
shocked,
believe,
shocked to what she just heard on the radio. She looks to Bob and she says, no, no, not my Richie.
Man.
Not my Richie.
Man.
She throws the laundry. Bob rushes her and grabs her, hugs her. They try to console each other, but the moment of losing Richie just overtakes them both. One of the tough days in rock and roll, the day that music died, you know. Here's the funeral service at San Fernando Mission Cemetery.
Man.
And this is the scene where Bob is by himself. He's on the bridge, meditating on this whole fact of losing Richie. Can't believe that he lost his brother.
Yeah.
And just screams out for Richie. Richie!
Man, it's crazy.
Ends on the slow-mo. The brothers having their moment. Back to when they're racing up the hill.
Yeah, it's like the demons chasing him.
definitely that metaphor, yo.
Yeah, not saying Bob was a demon, but like just the demon that in him, through the bottle. Or you know what they say, like the devil abuses people around you.
Yeah, dude. That jealousy that Bob had, the devil used that against Richie. And again, that talisman is a metaphor, but if that was truly written in there like that,
Yeah.
I mean, we only have to know through Bob's mouth, He's the one that took him to Tijuana.
Yeah.
Or did Luis Valdez, write it in for story?
Yeah.
But, it'd be cool to know. However, again, not to put any blame on Bob, but it's that supernatural essence and the attachment that comes with such talisman.
Yeah, for sure.
And where it came from, right? The medicine doctor, witch doctor, whatever you want to go about it.
Yeah.
The world that he dabbles in,
Yeah.
you can only imagine what's attached to that such talisman.
Like Native Americans.
Totes. Richie Valens may have Native American blood, so but the spirituality is really strong,
Yeah.
And shout out Isai Morales, y'all. Played a good Bob, even though they lightened up the tone on Bob.
Yeah.
According to the real Bob, they made this movie Bob nicer than who he really is. But again, shout out to SI for pulling off an awesome performance, and which led to his filmography. I mean, if you just look at his long list on IMDb, this man has put on a career for himself.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as small actors.
Like Danny Trejo. You know what I mean?
There's no such thing as small roles, small actors. Each character or role, plays a big part in whatever movie or show.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
SI put in the work in his own right as an actor, as an activist, and just all out awesome human being.
Yeah. Pretty happy that he didn't just stand on La Bamba alone. He wanted to put the work out there.
Yeah. To the point people recognize the type of power he contributed to whatever role, that's going to be given to him. So
Yeah. I think another famous movie that's popular, I guess, is Paid in Full. Great cast in that as well. So kudos to him.
totes. So SM Morales, we salute you.
We salute you. Thank you.
But it ends on a good note, though. It ends up back at New York. Richie performing La Bamba.
During the end credits.
Yeah, and you just get that whole performance again, that montage. You didn't want to end on a complete downer.
Yeah.
You still want to
Celebrate his life.
Yeah, celebrate the life of the forefather of Chicano Rock-and-roll.
Yeah, through his music. It's a movie you can love and appreciate, but it's hard to watch.
Absolutely. You know the ending, but it's tough.
Yeah.
And to put out there that the Valenzuela family were there. I'm not sure if it was every day, but Luis Valdez had the family on set with them throughout the making of this film. According to Connie Valenzuela, Richie's sister, she stated that this movie was definitely spot on in terms of what's true. It's Luis Valdez who did the interviews and the homework in terms of knowing Richie's life and what to showcase and what to highlight, and especially for the forefather of Chicano Rock-and-roll, the movement for future artists, such as Carlos Santana, Selena, Beach Boys, Weezer. The list goes on of the bands that got influenced by Richie Valens.
Yeah, for
including
sure.
Los Lobos, who are in this film.
Or for any Latino rock and roller or guitar, whatever. It's like Richie's top 5.
He has to be. I mean, granted, his career only lasted 8 months.
Yeah.
But it was 8 months of pure rock and roll. Of music that he wrote himself.
That's the peak of rock and roll.
He was up there with Chuck Berry, y'all. And if you know who Chuck Berry is, come on now.
Yeah.
It's the Mount Rushmore of rock and roll right there.
Yeah. He would have been the king.
Even Elvis said it himself. If Richie didn't die, Elvis would have to step aside and he'll be the new Elvis.
Make room.
Right. If you guys know this about Elvis, he never wrote one piece of music of his own.
That he recorded, He
just performed them. He didn't write them. He performed them. So for Richie to write and perform
20 plus songs, all on his own, minus La Bamba, probably.
Yeah, and a couple others, but
it
definitely says a lot about his talent and how far ahead he was ahead of the curve when it came down to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Little Richard was his main inspiration. You can definitely hear that sound in Richie's music, but you can only imagine what he was going to continue making.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that Chuck Berry only passed away just a couple years ago. Imagine Richie still being here.
Again, a lot of what ifs, a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas stir up when it comes down to one of our favorite artists, Richard Steven Valenzuela, aka Richie Valens. You know, without his music, you know, our music wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, he inspired you, right?
Yeah.
And you watched this movie with mom when
Like 6. I was only gonna be 7. If it dropped in the summer of '87, I was only 6.
you got the vinyl soundtrack.
Yeah, mom bought it. Yeah,
Right, and look, to this day, we're playing rock music,
Yeah.
you know, and making our own music at that,
yeah,
through the inspiration of Richie Valens.
yeah,
You know?
dude.
We tips our hat to Luis Valdez and Daniel Valdez, the brothers, making this movie happen, you know,
Yeah.
to showcase not just the Chicano music, but the human being that is Richie Valens.
Yeah, I think this movie is not so much about being a rock star. It's about overcoming difficulties. You know what I mean, in life.
Yeah.
And still striving.
Following your dreams no matter what it takes.
Yeah.
Right? You know, whatever barriers there may be, you know,
Yeah.
you still go after your dreams. For Richie's life, whether it be his music or his relationship with Donna, you
Yeah.
know, he didn't let that barrier in either of those two things, you know, stop him. You know,
Yeah.
he let his love for Donna be known in his music.
Yeah.
You know, he put those two together,
Mm.
right? And that just shows the beauty of what an artist can do,
Yeah,
right? The magic any artist can do. If I were to rate this movie, y'all, I'm gonna give this a 5. Even the downer of an ending,
yeah,
you know, this movie was awesome. From the music to the cast, the overall story. I
Yeah.
mean, for an 108-minute movie, I felt like we got enough in terms of who Richie is, his motivations, his why,
yeah,
the drama, like any human being would go through. It's
Yeah.
like, we got it. I mean, there's certain things that we wish we could get more of, like Richie and Donna's dates,
yeah,
like how they sneak off,
yeah.
you know.
Like from other people's point of views.
yeah. I mean, overall, I feel like Luis Valdez hit it on the head, this story.
Yeah,
In terms of the casting, man, I again, the universe playing its part.
yeah. Thank you for discovering Lou. No Lou, no Valdez, no Young Guns.
No bats,
No bats, no power.
no mass singer. Lou
real.
Diamond Phillips was a mass singer, y'all.
For real. No video game guy.
He was in Call of Duty, man. What a career. Lou
Right.
Diamond Phillips, we salute you. Filipino-American actor playing a Chicano rock star. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to put it out there, but for those who know, you know. It's pretty big in terms of cultures breeding together.
Yeah.
And,
He's a proof in the pudding.
right, we all are under one sky.
We all came off the same boat.
For this film to be Lou Diamond Phillips' first breakthrough role,
Yeah.
I mean, man, what a movie to do it on, right?
According to him, 500 others auditioned, but then he thought of doing a Frankie Valli movie.
Yeah, according to his agent, but for Lou Diamond Phillips, he went to this audition anyway.
Yeah, man, lucky for him.
He thought that he was going for the role of Bob.
Yeah.
He got screen tested for Richie.
Yeah.
And the family at first thought, was there someone that can look more like Richie?
Yeah.
But there's an essence to Lou Diamond Phillips that brought love, the character
Yeah.
of Richie.
Yeah, he had his spirit.
Yeah. There's not a lot of footage of Richie Valens out there, but if the family found Lou was perfect, hey,
Yeah.
you gotta take their word for it.
It's like, yeah, someone can look like him, but the energy is not there. If it's not there, then they just all look alike.
Yeah.
You gotta feel that spirit.
Right. The original people who auditioned were big names. They probably wouldn't capture. You probably would see that actor.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't see Richie Valens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it was right to cast a no-namer. You know, up and coming, an actor who was hungry
Hmm.
and wanted to prove himself. And I feel like Lou was that actor, and he played him right. You know, he did Richie Valens justice.
Yeah.
And he could play the guitar and sing.
Yeah.
What more do you need?
He had it all.
Even to the point where the airplane scene, you
Yeah.
know, after that scene got shot, like the sisters cried, like they were hugging Lou Diamond Phillips, saying like, "Why did you go, Richie?" Like,
Yeah.
why? Like as if like that moment was really their closure for them, like, as a family, really being with Richie step by step of the way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like through a different lens.
As if like physically Richie is there, and then them saying don't go. Like,
Yeah.
as if like he's really there.
Yeah, Lou's acting or his presence as Richie was really felt, you know,
Yeah.
throughout the set. And this movie was really great, you know, for a rockumentary, a biopic. Not every movie's perfect, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what it takes to make a Hollywood film just yet, but you definitely feel the love. The Valdez brothers really brought it.
Yeah, very authentic. Authenticity.
Yeah.
Same vibe. Same. Yeah, everything. Great soundtrack. La Bamba is, for me, it's there. It's up there next to Bohemian.
Totes.
Like, I've never seen Rami Malek aside from Bohemian Rhapsody, but knowing he did Mr. Robot, I never watched it. But then just seeing him portray Freddie was great. It's believable. The music, the soundtrack, and just the Freddie vibe.
Yeah.
The Freddie spirit.
Right. You may not look dead on.
Yeah.
But again, when an actor can capture such energy of that person, no matter how much homework you have to do, if you can capture it, you got it. You know what I mean?
Because they shot Live Aid, shot for shot, and it looked the same way Freddie acted.
Totes.
So, yeah, man. 5 for me, La Bamba, man. 5 stars.
5 stars, y'all.
It belongs to the skies.
The stars don't fall out the skies, y'all, but they don't call shooting stars for nothing. But they do supply a wish for all of us. And if you have a dream to go after something, go after it. Follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Life is so short, but it's wide.
Yeah.
And we can accomplish and conquer anything. You know, just set your mind to it and just go for it.
Yeah.
Richie Valens was that forefather of following your dreams. You know, not just Chicano music, rock and roll, but just following your dreams.
Yeah.
You know, just going for it.
No matter how hard, or if you think it's not even possible, keep believing.
Because you don't know how long you'll be on this earth.
Yeah, I like to know that they're like the 50s, 60s, like one of my favorite eras. I don't know what it is. Maybe there's like the music, the doo-wop music and all that. That's cool.
Granted, it was like the peak of the segregation movement and all that, but it was simpler times.
Yeah, simple
like,
time.
No technology, no nothing.
You
was
walk
just,
on the streets by yourself.
right? No Zodiac killer yet.
No, not yet. On top of that, music was like brand new.
Yeah. Entertainment in general.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. That's before all the genres came about in America. Strictly rock and roll. Crossing it over and making it popular, mainstream.
Right.
Look, and if it wasn't for like Richie and them, they wouldn't be doing that today. Like the band, All For One, taking a country song and making it R&B. And So Much in Love. That was a remake, you know what I mean? They're both hits.
Totes.
Right?
Comment below, y'all.
Yeah, man. Music, man. It's great.
So yeah, y'all, that was La Bamba.
La Bamba.
If you guys haven't seen this movie, we highly recommend it. If you're not familiar with Richie Valens' music, hey, by all means, Google it, Spotify it, however you get your music. Listen to the hits and listen to all the other songs on the album. You might find your new favorite song.
Yeah, you can catch this movie in the middle, at the end, the beginning, any part of the movie. It'll get you hooked. Like, you know it. You know the movie. You'll watch it. You know what I mean? Nothing in there felt silly. Nothing felt corny. You really get the feel of the family and what they were going through. Really heartfelt movie.
Yeah, you truly got to experience the Mexican-American experience through the Venezuela family.
Yeah.
Even how much of a downer it is, you'll still cry.
Still iconic. Bob screaming for Richie, that's iconic. Like, everyone would probably know that line. Oh, that's La Bamba. Just the word Richie.
I mean, if everyone knows the line, not my first, oh my last.
Yeah.
If everyone knows that about Bob, man, this movie is definitely iconic. If this movie can be preserved as an iconic movie through the U.S. Library of Congress, preserved as a Criterion collection or collector's item at that, hey,
Historic event
of music.
Yeah.
You know, this movie is, and you guys have to experience this movie for yourself, beginning to end. You'll truly find an appreciation for Richie Valens and his music, and again, being the forefather for Chicano rock-and-roll.
Sure.
You can read the plot all you want on Wikipedia, but watching the movie is definitely worth it.
You gotta feel it for yourself.
65 years. Although February 3rd, 1959 was disclosed as the day the music died, since
years.
Richie Valens,
Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper
passed away, the rock legends left this planet, but their music still lives on.
for sure. Great soundtrack aside, if you really want to hear Richie Valens, like, look it up on YouTube. You can really hear his voice.
Totes.
It really has that Paul Anka, Frankie Valli voice.
Totes.
Like, you don't know why the girls love Richie.
Yeah.
On top of learning how to play, you know what I mean? Because Paul and Frankie didn't play instruments. They're just the frontmen.
Totes.
Yeah, Richie had the package.
Yep, you can play the guitar and sing.
Yeah. It's powerhouse.
Totes.
You know, I'm glad they didn't remaster those old recordings to make it sound like modern. Like, just the way it is, it's great.
Yeah.
It really takes you back.
I agree. Like his style of play, you can definitely hear the sound of both, like rockabilly, that beach surf sound, you know. So he was the tip of the iceberg of what rock and roll was going to be.
Yeah.
He already had the essence of what Little Richard already said.
Yeah,
but
cool
again,
with his idol, yeah.
right?
His inspiration.
But again, you can only imagine the type of music he was going to make.
Movies at that, you know? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Again, rest in peace, Richie Valens.
Rest in peace, Concepcion Valenzuela,
Yes.
Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, and the pilot, Roger Peterson. We can't put too much blame on him.
It's fate, man.
Supernaturally,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's the universe playing its part. But again, that day, February 3rd, 1959, was not the day music died. Again, their music forever lives.
Yeah.
And that day, February 3rd, 1959, was the day rock music cried.
Yeah.
Not died, but cried.
Cried, man. Sorrowful day.
It's noted out there that they may remake it. There's a script in the work, and Luis Valdez is staying close to the production. He's making sure the story's rightfully told. It's going to come out with more information from new perspectives. And if you reach this part of the episode, we highly appreciate you considering, you know, time is expensive.
Yes, sir.
But we love you for spending that time with us. And if you're here for the first time, definitely like, subscribe, and comment below what you would like us to look into next. And if you're a returnee, by all means, let the world know what you watched today, what you learned about Richie Valens, and let the people know what the brothers Oliver and Nino are doing over here on Creativity Unsheathed.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely got more comics, movies, and music reviews on the way, including our own creations to spread with the world.
Yes, so stick around and stay tuned.
Avatar follow, physical follow. You do you, whatever floats your boat. Just follow along with us on this journey.
Yes, yes.
And now we'd like to end this episode with a motivational quote for y'all. But if you heard this before, by all means, just let it be a self-reflection of where we are today.
In the present.
And this one is by Unknown. But if you know who said it first, comment below. But this quote states, "The entire point of life is to take chances on dreams that seem crazy to most, but feel like destiny to you." End quote.
Nice.
Definitely suiting for this movie, for Richie Valens, and for anyone who dares to dream. I mean, the dream is what to live for. Whatever the dream may be for you, but you and the universe know what that is, and to harness that potential that's within you. You know, you got to let the world know who you are and what that voice has to say.
Yeah.
You know, life is so short, but it's wide, and you don't know how long we're gonna be on this earth, on this planet at least. You know, you just gotta make your time worth it and let the dream come true.
For sure.
It's your destiny, and that's what the universe has implanted in you. And that's for you and you only.
Yeah. Find what brings you joy.
And don't let anybody tell you no or tell you otherwise, that you should be doing something else.
Yeah.
You know, they just regret their decisions in life, and those are people who haven't fulfilled their dream yet, but they don't know how.
Yeah. Intuition and gut feeling, that's the universe urging you to
Right.
do that.
Don't let the crabs in the barrel pull you down. Just continue pushing, you know, thrive for what you believe in, for what's your destiny. What's crazy to those is what's destiny to you.
Yep, for sure. Just gotta listen.
Stay quiet, listen, and let the universe guide you. Continue to execute your why. You know, once you know your why, everything else will make sense. Don't let the fabrications of money and the fast life deter you from the path.
Yeah.
The fast don't last, and patience is key.
Yep.
You know, what's meant for you is right for you.
And in the end, you can say that you made that.
Totes.
You did that.
Because it's that time we're going to say, stay creative, keep creating.
Stay independent. Have your own sound.
Do your best as a human being to stay motivated and to keep on going.
Kill the negativity. Stay positive. Love yourself, guys.
Although you're not musicians yourselves, find what makes your voice worth hearing, you know?
Yeah.
Find a platform to express your voice
Yeah. It doesn't have to be just music. It can be anything.
in whatever medium you dabble in.
Yeah. Anything.
Till next time, y'all.
Till next time.
Peace.
Peace. It's cool, Richie. Besides, the stars belong to the skies, right?